Welcome to Let's Get Into It. I am your host, Sherelle Higgins. Let's Get Into It is a safe space to have real conversations that are meant to uplift, encourage, and let you know you are not the only one dealing with life. Each episode of Let's Get Into It is designed to provide illuminating and thought-provoking information on a variety of topics. In fact, no topic is off limit. If you would like to see a topic discussed, please feel free to make a recommendation. My special guest and I will have a great time discussing topics that the mainstream media wouldn't dare discuss. We will bring these conversations to you with an open mind, respectfully, from different perspectives, and most importantly, with love. Thank you for joining me and my special guest. Now, let's get into it. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Let's Get Into It. I am your host, Sherelle Higgins, and I am really ready to have this conversation. This conversation is about our mental health. And with everything that's going on in our country, a lot of people are struggling with their mental health. And not only that, but I know that many of you have seen Tyler Perry's movie Straw with Taraji P. Henson, who played the heck out of that role. And we know that there are a lot of parallels to some of our lives that Taraji was actually experiencing in the movie. And so today, my guest is going to join me in having that conversation on not only about talking about the parallels of that movie with real life, but also some techniques and strategies that we can use to ensure that our mental health is in check. And we're going to talk about who she is, where she's from, what she has to offer, and how we can take better care of ourselves. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Toni Boulware Stackhouse, also known as Dr. Tabs. And I'm glad she has a Dr. Tabs because that name is a mouthful. So welcome, Dr. Tabs.
Thank you. Yes, my dad gave me a lot of name, and then my husband came along and gave me a lot of names. So we're going to just shorten that to Dr. Tabs.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited about being here with you this evening.
Good. Okay, so let's kick this off. So first off, let's talk a little bit about who you are and where you're from. So where are you from?
I'm from Baltimore City, born and raised. Yeah.
Okay. So are you a Ravens fan?
Oh my God. Am I? Yes, I am. Me and my husband, we are season pass holders. Listen, we gets into the game. That is one of the things besides the holidays that keeps me joyous during the fall and the winter, because the days are short and it's dark early. Yes. And I don't necessarily like that in the cold weather. But football, listen, my sister turned me on to the sport and there's no turning back now. So
I understand. I'm a huge NFL fan.
Yes.
I'm a Chicago Bears fan.
Oh, you Chicago Bears? Okay.
Because I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
It's the home team. And so I understand. So you're from Baltimore City.
Yes.
And so have you lived in that area most of your adult life?
Not my adult life. I was born and raised in Baltimore City. And my adult life, I lived in Baltimore County. I currently live and have lived for the last 15 years in Harford County. I live in Havre de Grace, Maryland, which is probably like 30 minutes from the White Marsh area. So
yes, right,
not too far. Just up 95.
Yes, right up there by a Maryland house.
Yes, the Maryland. Yes, the rest stop. Yes.
Look, I'm almost willing to say it's like exit 93 or something like that, but whatever.
You can get me off of 93 or 89. I'm good. Either one of them.
See, I know my roads.
You do. Yes.
Okay. All right. And so you mentioned a husband, so you're married.
Yes. My husband is a retired veteran, Mr. Samuel Stackhouse.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for his service.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
And what about children?
Children, I have an adult daughter who just graduated from law school. She has
Oh,
taken the bar
congratulations.
exam come Tuesday, which we're all excited about because she is driving all of us crazy. We're all excited. We leave on Saturday for a barcation after the exam. Look, as if we all took the exam, but I think we all feel like that. So we're going on vacation on Saturday for a week. So yeah, we're excited about that.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations to her. And
Thank
I
you.
hope she passed on the first go around so she can release all that.
Yes, listen, that's our motto. We take the exam and we pass on the first go round. And
Okay.
we praying for the grace of God over her life to do that. Yes,
Yes, claim it. And yes, we need more sophisticated
absolutely.
and attorneys who can do their jobs, right? And
Absolutely.
so we are going to pray that she pass and that she begin her career as an attorney and that she's very, very, very successful in it.
Absolutely. All of those things.
Yes. Okay. All right. So that's a little bit about who you are as a woman.
Yes,
Let's talk about how you ventured into this area of working with people with mental health challenges.
absolutely. So in 2021, I ended a 25-year career working with individuals and families experiencing homelessness. Throughout my career, I managed shelters and homeless services programs that we experienced a lot of recidivism. And one of the things you'll get to know about me is, besides trying to be a perfectionist, when things don't work the way they should work, I'm always trying to figure out like why we keep running programs and putting people in the housing and they keep coming back. Some of the same people's coming, recycling the program. And
Mhm,
so one of the things that I noticed that was consistent is that those people were experiencing mental health, undiagnosed, untreated, largely due to trauma that they have experienced, whether in childhood or in adulthood. And so that was very intriguing to me. So it
mhm,
made me go back to school and do some more getting education.
mhm.
And then, as I was transitioning out of homeless services, I decided to get my license, and then I opened my own practice. And
Okay.
so I've been doing that for 5 years now, working with people, trying to help them um, obtain mental health in a way that is consistent, just like we go and get our regular physicals, we go to the dentist, all of those things. So just
Mhm.
helping people, especially in our communities, to understand the importance of mental health, because this is not something that we've always subscribed to.
Oh, absolutely, especially in our community. I failed to ask you, where did you go to undergrad?
So undergrad, I got my AA degree from the Community College of Baltimore County, and then I got my bachelor's from Nyack College, which is in New York, but they had a satellite campus in DC. My
Mm,
master's degree is from Lincoln University out of Pennsylvania, HBCU, and my doctoral degree is from Argosy University.
okay. I am a graduate of Virginia State University and
Okay,
look up
okay.
on Lincoln every time we play them for homecoming. So we
Yes,
like
yes,
playing them. And
yes, yes,
have a
yes.
girlfriend who also attended Lincoln
Lincoln,
University. So
okay. Okay.
we
I
have a
think
great
we
time.
share same colors too, don't we? The blue and the orange. Do we have
Oh,
the same colors?
absolutely.
Yeah, we have the same colors.
Absolutely. Blue and orange. And so are my Chicago Bears. So it
The
makes
Chicago Bears. There you go, putting that in there, right?
yes, absolutely. It's nothing like a HBCU
Oh
experience.
my goodness. Yes, out of all of my experience getting education, I always say to people that's the that experience getting that degree gave me pride in my education. So I'm
Yes.
grateful for that experience.
Yes. So let's talk about the homeless population.
Yes.
Um, so I have a cousin who lives in Chicago
Hmm.
who works with the homeless as well. And she is so dedicated and has been doing this for years. She goes down to where the homeless hang out, what they call in Chicago Lower Wacker Drive, and she
Oh
feeds
wow.
them and she
Hmm.
get resources for them and all of that kind of stuff. Also, when I was in the workplace, um, I worked in human capital, and one of my responsibilities at one of my jobs was to go out and hire people. And so we decided to do a recruitment event for the homeless population.
Wow.
I'll never forget talking to this one homeless lady who, I was, asking her about, where she was, how she's living, where her goals were, those kind of things. And I'll never forget this lady telling me that one, she had adult children, but she didn't want to move in with them, which she could have because
Oh,
she didn't
wow.
like a burden.
Wow.
Two, she said that one of the reasons why she was homeless is because she didn't want the responsibility
Ability.
of having a place. And then, I talked to her about um, like, how do you take care of your personal hygiene as a female being out here on these streets? And she told me she had a car, and for the most part, she lived out of her car. And what she
Hmm.
would do is she would go to the one place you can go to, at least you could back in the day, go to, and you could walk in, nobody would question you. You could use the restroom, nobody would question you, and she can clean herself up every day. So she would park her car there that night. And I was like, well, where is that? She said, the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, it was clean and I didn't have to
Yes.
worry about it. And I said, oh,
Yes.
that makes sense. And then she said
Yeah.
that, after she cleaned herself up, she would go and she would park her car like 4 blocks away from where she hung out as a homeless person because she
Wow.
wanted the other homeless people to know that she had a car.
Wow.
And so and with my cousin, I've gone down and helped her feed the homeless. And like I said, she's committed to it and she's been doing it for years. And so what drove you to that population in the beginning?
Okay. So in the beginning, what drew me to that is my own personal experience of experiencing homelessness.
Mm,
I had moved to Atlanta some years ago, me and my daughter, and I experienced illness that caused me to lose my job, and then I wound up losing housing, and then
mm,
ended up in a shelter. And I ended up in a shelter because I'm in Atlanta and I don't have family and friends, and I felt a certain kind of way of not being successful there. And
mhm.
so I didn't call home. We didn't stay in the shelter long, only for a couple of days, not even a week, but I wound up calling my dad. And of course, he was like, get on home. So I
Right.
went home. But what that being in the shelter, in the days that I was there, gave me a different perspective, and it was almost like an eye-opening moment for me because of the way that people were treating the staff was treating the people there.
Mm,
And it sparked something in me, and I do believe that that was something that was supposed to happen because that was what I was supposed to do for 25 years of my life. um, and when I did it, when I started working there, when I returned home, I started at on the ground zero. I started as a program assistant,
mhm,
which was a direct care position. And I remember making $7.77 a hour. And I worked my way on up within those 25 years at different agencies, to senior leadership as a division director. And I managed multiple programs prior to leaving there. And throughout my career and working in different capacities, I got to, so when I first worked directly with people who experience homelessness, I got to get to know who they were, and I got to treat them like they were human beings, because I
mm,
remember being in that situation and not liking how the people were talking to people. And so as I grew in my career, and started moving up in my career as it relates to my position and leadership, I remembered that. So when I used to be a part of making policies and procedures, I had to keep all of those things in mind, to create atmosphere in shelters and programs that will help people keep their dignity while
mm,
they were having an experience. That some of it was due to some of the decisions that they made, and some of it wasn't. It just
mhm,
was circumstantial. But a lot of times people judge people who are in those situations, always thinking, oh, they homeless because of something they did. People have different reasons for doing it. Because one of the things we know is that over the years, the face of homelessness has changed so many times. You know, back in the day, some decades ago, the face of homelessness used to be people with severe mental health, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as time grows, we've had people in our shelters that has had degrees, even up to doctoral degrees,
Mm.
and different, like, people experiencing illnesses or different circumstances in their lives where, because they were one check paycheck away from being homeless. So if something happens and you miss that check, there you go, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so there are a number of reasons, a lot of ways that people become homeless. So I've learned a lot of things from my own experience, and also working in those 25 years. And that's what made me want to be able to assist in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
because it was really the experience. People don't even understand that being homeless is traumatic, right? It's a
Mm.
traumatic experience.
I can only
Um,
imagine.
yeah, and you think about it, because sometimes when you are accustomed to having your own home, we don't even think about, like, not being able to stick a key in the door and go in the house and cut
Mm-hmm.
the lights on and eat what you want and have all of those things that some people take for granted. Some people would love those things,
Mm-hmm.
but some of us take it for granted and we don't think nothing of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to be able to, like, express my calling in the earth. I know that is something that I was supposed to do, and that's why I was destined to have that experience in Atlanta, so that I could come. It was a part of the ordering of my steps. So I really enjoy working with people in any capacity, but especially doing that 25 years.
So let me ask you this. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about the homeless population?
I think that one of the biggest misconceptions are that they think that people who are homeless are lazy and they just won't do what's necessary or what's right for them to access housing.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that that is one of the biggest myths, because there are so many systems that are created to keep people in situations where they are in poverty,
Mm-hmm.
and not able to get out of where they are. And so that is one. Because, like I shared, there are a number of people that came to the shelters that had doctoral degrees, that had master's degrees, that had bachelor's degrees, that had certifications. We had people leaving the shelter going to good jobs, but sometimes something happened, like a divorce or
Mm-hmm.
death of a loved one. Anything could happen to somebody that caused them to be in that situation. Instead of us making judgments about who they are and how they got into those situations, it really is about us thinking about, or listening to hear people's story,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can broaden our thoughts about it.
Mm-hmm. So what's what would you say was the biggest lesson that you learned from experiencing homelessness?
One of the biggest lessons that I learned, personal lessons that I learned. So one of the things, oh, this is what I learned. Relationships are important,
Mm-hmm.
because think about this. Relationships are important because if you and I were in a situation where we were to lose housing, 9 times out of 10, because of the relationships that we have, we wouldn't have to go to a shelter,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right. So when people end up in shelters, a lot of times it's because they have, sometimes in some cases, they have burned bridges, or they just have a lot of broken relationships in their
Mm-hmm.
lives. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
difference with me, when I stayed in the shelter for the couple of days, I could call my dad, and my dad wouldn't, like, let me be in a shelter, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some people that can't call their dad, or they call their dad and their dad is like, I can't do anything for you. Or they
Mm-hmm.
call their mom and their mom said it. So the biggest thing I've learned is life is really about relationships. And we know that in a whole lot of ways, because I believe that God works through people and relationships. That's why he created us to be relational people. And so relationships are important. And sometimes you don't realize that relationships are important, especially in your youth or as you grow and mature, until you end up in a situation where you need people. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have burned all those bridges and you look back and you like, now I'm in a situation where I'm in need and I can't call upon these relationships because I've not done well with these relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, because when I started working, I did have the concept that even though I was in the shelter for 4 or 5 days, I could call home. And it was my own pride why I didn't call home.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got over that and I did call home, I was able to get out of that situation. When people come to the shelter, one of the questions that we asked, and we always ask, is there somebody that you can call that could prevent you from being in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
Because we have programs that we call shelter prevention, where we prevent people from entering the shelter system. So when we did that, it's like, let us call somebody that, even if it's out of town, because we would get you a plane, a train, or whatever, a bus ticket, if this was going to prevent you from being homeless. And a lot of people would say, I don't have anybody I could call. So then we would ask questions. Where's your mother? Where's your dad? Where's his parents? Where's this person? And you would run a list of people, and they would say, I can't call those people. In some cases, we have tried to even reunify families. We would call the person. Can we talk to you? You know, your daughter's at the shelter or your sister's can we talk about how we can reunify the family? And they would tell us a laundry list of things that they have done to try to help the person, and how they were at their wits' end and not able to do anything else to help the person. And it's like, wow, I can't imagine getting to a place where nobody in my life would be willing to help me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've worked with so many people who had run the gamut as it relates to relationships, and they didn't understand the importance of relationships. And so they ended up in shelters. So
Mm-hmm.
the biggest lesson I've learned is that relationships are important.
Yeah, I had an associate who called me one day and said that they were in the shelter and could they come and stay with me.
See,
My
you had that happen to you.
Yes, and so I'm glad you ran down those questions, because the first thing I asked was, "Where is your family?"
Yes. Because why you calling me and I ain't your blood family? Let's get the blood family first.
And we're not even friends like that, right? We
Okay.
know each other, but we're not friends. And so my question was,
Where
"Where's
your
your
people?
family?"
Where your people?
And
Yes.
my antennas immediately went off, because I was like, something has happened that has prevented you from being able to call your family.
Absolutely.
And so, if whatever that is, and I didn't ask for what it was, right? Because I didn't want to pry, but whatever that is that prevented you from being able to lean on your family during a time of need, means that that's not a situation I want to be involved in.
Amen. 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 So the first thing we got to do is teach people that relationships are important. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't just throw relationships away, or you can't do wrong to people and expect them to want to be in relationship or want to do things to help you, right?
Right.
If you don't do right by those relationships. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be like, that's huge. That's huge.
And one of the other things, I think, as it relates to relationships, is some people don't value them as much as they should.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I have 7 sisters,
Wow.
and I have a different relationship with each of my sisters, but
Yep.
I value all of the
All of them.
relationships that
Yep.
I have with my
Hmm.
sister. And
Absolutely.
so people just don't value that. And I've seen a lot lately on social media, particularly right after the news broke that Malcolm Jamal Warner had passed away.
Hmm.
People were, putting in the comments, whoever you are having a agreement with in your family, reach out to them. You know,
Yes.
mend that relationship. Get yourself
Yes.
together. And sometimes we are so stuck on what we think people have done to us, and not really looking at the big picture and how we played a role
Bro,
in whatever
very
happened.
key.
Nothing
Yes.
is ever one sided.
It's never one-sided. Yep. That's why when we talk to the clients that were in the shelters and we ask them about what happened with this relationship, they will always do the blame game. Oh, my mother did this and my mother did this and and when you call the mother will say what has happened. And everybody got their side, but
Right.
somewhere in there lies the truth, right? And so trying to navigate through all of that to see if this is something that's salvageable. In very small cases, it was salvageable, but not in many cases.
Yeah, because
Matter of fact, probably 90% of the cases, people didn't want no parts of it
yeah, because
because
they had burnt them
they
out by
had burned the bridges. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and people get tired and people can only do so much.
People can only do so much. Relationships are important in every aspect of our lives, not just for that, but it is very important. It's key. You can't live in this world without good, healthy relationships.
Yes. And so there's a variety of reasons why people end up homeless and having mental health challenges.
Yes.
A couple of things that come to my mind quickly are one is drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One is one that you already mentioned as a result of a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's talk about uh, how those types of issues result to homelessness, and then how it impacts somebody's mental health.
Absolutely. So, what we don't what we what people don't understand or are not cognizantly aware of, we all have mental or emotional capacity, right? And
Mm,
it's different, and everything plays on that. Like we expend our emotions and our mental capacity, everyday living, right? And we have this term that life is life, and when life is life, and we put more strain on that, right? So
mhm,
life really is about how we take care of ourselves to make sure that our mental and our emotional capacity is good, so
mhm,
that when we experience things, we are able to have that resilience or experience the resilience and bounce back from that. So think about it. People get divorced every day and they don't wind up homeless, right?
right.
People lose their jobs every day. They don't end up homeless. There are people who have substance abuse issues and they are not homeless, right? There are people that have mental health issues. They're not homeless. The problem is when you have mental health issues that are unchecked,
Mm,
untreated, is
mhm,
when we lack the ability to be able to be resilient when we have a life situation. So if I don't have emotional capacity and something happens in my life, then I am not able to recover from that.
mhm,
Right? And if I am not able that, then I am not able to be able to obtain and maintain housing, obtain and maintain employment, which helps me keep housing. Think about it.
mhm.
So there are a lot of things that go into keeping housing that I'm not able to experience if I don't have mental or emotional capacity. So that's why it's key. And everybody is different. Like I said, you can have a number of people who experience divorce, and everybody will experience it very differently,
Mhm.
right? Some people will fall and getting divorced. It can be destroyed, right? But think about it. There are people who get divorced and they are able to recover. They get on their feet. They do what they need to do, and they keep
Have
it
a
pushing.
divorce party. They
They had divorced.
celebrate.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. But then there are some people who get divorced and they seem not to ever recover from that. And other life situations too. Think about people who lose employment,
Mm,
because employment gives us It makes me feel it. Yeah, it makes me feel like it gives me value in life. It gives
Mhm.
me fulfillment, right? And if I don't have that, sometimes I'm not able to recover from that. Some people lose a job and take their time to get another job, and they recover well. Some people just don't.
Mm.
And we got to know ourselves, right? We got to
Mhm.
know when we're getting to the point where emotionally and mentally we're not well, so that we can do something about that, so that we can recover. We all have to, when we experience something, do something about what we've gone through, so that we can recover and be well from it.
So let me ask you this:
Yes.
Is it that it's cause and effect, or is it people are already on the journey of having poor mental health, and then that thing happens, and then it just brings it to the surface, or is it a combination?
I was going to say it could be a combination of both. Sometimes people have pre-existing conditions like a genetic predisposition to mental health, and then they have an experience, and that just creates a what we call a perfect storm, and then there you have a mental breakdown. There are some people who have experience after experience after experience, and during each and after each experience don't do anything to allow themselves to recover emotionally or mentally. And then all of us are human, which some of us think we're
Yeah.
not, but we're all human. And after so much, your body, your mental, and your emotions can only take but so much. So then you're going to have a breakdown. So it can happen in a combination of those things, like it's isolated incidents, or we got somebody that's pre-exposed because of genetics,
Hmm.
mental health running the family, any combination of that.
Yeah, and I think that latter part of what you said is really what happened in the movie Straw, right?
Yes, yeah.
Roger B. Henson's character
Oh
Janai.
my God, yes.
And, we saw throughout the movie how, she was grinding and she was hustling.
Oh
And,
my God, yes.
then she had the situation with her job and her employer being unreasonable and not understanding that,
Unreasonable, yes.
empathy for the situation that she was in, and that she had a child who had an illness. And, and so then we go from that scene to, the people coming into the place trying to rob the place,
Yes.
and she had to protect herself because she,
Yes.
I'm a single mother, I got to take care of my child, and I'm not
Absolutely.
ready to let you take advantage of me and this back here in this room. And then she
Yes.
goes from there to, finally getting her check, and the whole emotions around the employer trying to hold up her check as a punishment, as
Right.
to giving her check, understanding and having empathy for where she was in life,
Absolutely.
to going into the bank just trying to cash her check to start with. And then it just turns
Absolutely.
into a whole big old thing. Let's talk
Absolutely.
about that journey and how that can happen in real life.
Absolutely. Again, as I said, that's what we call a perfect storm. And most people will watch that movie and say all of those things are not going to happen to one person.
Yes, they
Probably not in a 2 hour span. But
right.
there are people who experience not getting break after break after break, and that causes the strain on their mental and emotional stability because they can't seem to catch a break.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you get into that cycle and it just continues to happen until somebody says, oh, I got to do something about this. Or 9 times out of 10, they just keep going until they have a breakdown. I mean,
Right.
she had a number of things, and then you missed one of the things, even with her housing situation. She was on the
Yes.
verge of being evicted
Yes.
with her child as
Was
well. So
evicted. Stuff was
was
out on the
evicted.
curb.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So everything that could happen to her seemed to happen to her.
Mm-hmm.
And what we saw with each incident that occurred, we saw her growing more emotionally and mentally strained in that
Mm-hmm.
movie. She really did a great job. Taraji P. Henson played that role really, really
Yeah.
well. Um, and it's just a depiction of a real life instance
Mm-hmm.
where we see that if after instances we don't care for ourselves, right?
Mhm.
We don't recover, and sometimes we just so busy with the rat race of life, like keep going, I
Mhm.
got to take care of kids, I got to do this, I got to do this. But the bottom line is, if you are not well, you're not going to last long enough to take care of these kids,
You are not.
which are you going to put these kids in a bad situation,
Mhm.
which is why you need to take care of yourself. In our communities, the African American culture, we have not, we probably because of our history, we've not been a people who have been taught or learned how to care for ourselves.
Mhm.
We do know how to care for other people. We know how
Oh,
to care for other people
oh,
well.
we great at that.
We are great at that. We are great at caring for other people. We are just very poor at caring for ourselves, almost to the point where we feel guilty for caring for ourselves. And that is such a misnomer, because this is the thing. If I care for myself, I can care for you better
Yes.
if I care for myself. But
Yes.
some kind of way, we don't see the connection between self care and the care that we give for others, whether it's I'm caring for my kids, or I'm caring for my spouse, or I'm caring for my parents, or I'm in a good position to do a good job at my in my place of employment,
Mhm.
or wherever I go, I'm able to be the best me because I have a regular routine of restoring myself, which
Mhm.
is what God created us to do. He created us, if we just go by the cycle of our bodies and our systems and just allow us to go through that process, we will learn how to restore ourselves. Because think about it, every day we're supposed to go to sleep, right? We're supposed to get at least 6 to 8
Mhm.
hours of sleep to restore ourselves. Well, think about the people who operate on less sleep over long periods of time, and then have those kind of things happen in your life. You are short fuse. You
Yes.
a time bomb waiting to
Yes.
tick, which is what
Absolutely.
we have that happened in this movie Straw. And people look at this movie and think that this is far removed from me. But if you are not careful, especially think about all that's going on in this world. It's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff going on in this world that's very different from what we've seen. And I think that what's ahead of us is very different from what we've seen. And if we don't position ourselves in a way that we care for ourselves mentally and emotionally, we're going to see a lot of that in
Mhm.
our communities. People are not going to be able to withstand emotionally and mentally what we will experience.
Yes. All of that, Dr. Tabs, all of that, because if we really think about it, we all know at least one person who just can't seem to catch a break.
Right,
And we have to check ourselves, and assuming that we're not talking about the very, very extreme ends of the spectrum, what are we doing to help?
right.
And so I was on a call with some other ladies, and somebody mentioned, the conversation came up about seeing the glass half full or half empty,
Mm-hmm.
talking about helping others and being able to refill that glass. And I said to them, I'm operating from a full cup, and I'm willing to help people with my overflow.
Because that's the way it's supposed to be done.
I'm willing to help.
Your cup is for you, and what the overflow is for other people. But we
Absolutely.
give people from the cup.
Yes. But one of the transitions I really had to make, and I'm still going through it because it's a years long process, is, and I heard you mention something like this, and I don't necessarily call it perfection, but definitely an overachiever.
Yes,
And
yes.
as an overachiever throughout my entire career growing up, at the end of my career, I finally started feeling the weight of being an overachiever. And I
Yes.
decided I didn't want to be an overachiever.
No,
And so
no.
I started doing the work within myself to make sure that I was just achieving and not overachieving.
Overachieving.
And
Because
so,
if you overachieving, you always trying to catch that over, right? It's not a I'm a get there. You never get there. Because you always trying to overachieve. Like I always got to do it more than I did it the last time, right? And so it's a never ending cycle, and it keeps you moving and moving and moving, and you never get to the place where you can do something and recover, do something and restore, do something and renew. Just it's just constant. It's constant.
And I remember, and I don't know that at the time that I was experiencing this, that I connected it or associated it with mental health, right? But I
Hmm.
remember there would be times that I would just crash. And
Yes.
when I crashed hard. And I was just like, I don't want to be bothered with nobody. I don't want to hear from nobody. I don't want nobody talking to me because I don't have anything left to give. And that to me was just not a good place to be in.
It's not.
I started, really doing the work. And, some things, like something as simple as paying your bills, right?
Hmm.
So I'm always focused to ensure that I never have to pay a late charge. And I'm still late
Right. Right.
because that's giving money away.
Absolutely.
The thing that I realized is, let's say my mortgage is due on the first. I
Hmm.
was always trying to make sure they got it on the first, even though I knew a late penalty wouldn't even hit to after the
And to
15th.
the 16th,
Man,
right.
I'm like, if
Yes.
you get on the 10th, you're going to be all right.
Right, 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 right,
And
right.
so to me, now that I know a little bit more about mental health and what that looks like, and understanding, who I am as a person, I'm like, forget being an overachiever. That's too much. I can't do it. And
So,
I also used to be the type of person that if I tell you I'm going to do something, not
hmm,
only am I going to do it, but I'm going to do it right now.
wow,
I've learned that if I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it in my time.
absolutely.
And
And you're
so
not going to overcommit either,
I'm not
right?
gonna
You're not going
overcommit.
to overcommit. Yeah. I
No.
think because this is the therapist in me. When people talk about overachieving, then we got to talk about why you overachieving and why is something never enough?
Hmm.
Because that's what that's about as it relates to overachieving. That means that you never get to a place where something is enough. This is
Right.
enough, right? What I've done is enough.
Hmm.
So then we talk about does that reflect how you feel about yourself, whether you are enough? So it's a lot that
But
goes
I never had
into.
that issue, Dr. Ted.
Well, that's good. That's good. But the things that you were going after is like, why couldn't that be enough for you? That you had to continue on and keep on and keep on and keep on. But I'm glad you discovered that's what you were doing so that you can change the dynamics of that.
Oh, absolutely. Now I'm like, I'm gonna do it.
But I'm gonna do it at my pace
I'm
when
gonna
I.
do it at my pace. I'm gonna do it
Hmm.
though. You can count if I say I'm gonna do it because I'm a
We
type
can
of
count
person.
on it. That's
I
good.
don't have no problems telling people no. And I'm gonna
Listen, period. No, and
period. I
look,
don't
and
have no problem telling people no.
that's a complete sentence. It don't need no explanation to it.
That's exactly right. So let's fast forward. I'm about to have a hot flash. I'm going to be doing a show on menopause coming soon.
All right, I make sure I gotta catch that one.
So let's fast forward and let's
Okay,
talk about Life Matters Wellness.
okay,
What is it, and what? Yeah, just what is it? Let's start there.
okay. So Life Matters Wellness is my private practice where we provide mental health services for individuals, couples, and families. We have two locations, one in Bel Air, which is in Harford County. That was our first location. And then this past March, we had a grand opening for our location in Owens Mills, which we are very excited about. And so we do offer virtual services, but after the pandemic, everybody wanted to get out and get back into in-person services. So we are excited about being able to offer those in-person services. We also provide group services as well. Life Matters Wellness is also a practice that provides supervision for newly licensed clinicians. I am a board approved supervisor for the state of Maryland.
Okay.
So we have internship program which we are excited about to offer people who are new to the field an opportunity to grow. in their capacity as it relates to provide mental health services. So I'm excited about that. We are 5 years old. This March, we turned 5 years old. And so
Congratulations.
we are very, thank you. We are very excited about that. Our growth and growing in the community that we are in currently.
And so, because mental health is not something that we typically talk out loud about in our community, and we typically don't share that we are, first of all, experiencing it, and second
Right.
of all, that we're getting help for it. I,
Absolutely.
I see more people now in 2025 talking about going to
That's
therapy.
post pandemic. That's post pandemic. I think the pandemic shifted us in the right direction. It's not a total shift, but it definitely got us. It shifted us in a different place. I think for a lot of reasons, people got to a place where they understood, like, oh my goodness, I need to go and get some help with this.
Hmm. Hmm. And
And
so,
it doesn't mean that I am not self sufficient, and it
right.
doesn't mean that I am crazy, and it doesn't mean that something is wrong with me to that degree. That just means it's the same thing as when you have something wrong with you physically, you're going to call your primary care doctor and say, I need an appointment, right? And
Right.
when you call your primary care and you go get a physical and they say these are the treatments, then you're going to go and get the treatment so that you can get that together. Same
Hmm.
thing with mental and emotional health. It's an opportunity for you to go and get an assessment and somebody provide treatment for you so that you can be well, and it provide helps you develop skills and tools so that you can manage your own mental and emotional health, which is what we all aspire to for optimal health.
And it's also, I think, a great opportunity to talk to somebody that's objective, right?
Absolutely,
Somebody that
absolutely.
doesn't know your story necessarily.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
Somebody who is not sitting in judgment of your story. Somebody,
Non-judgment zone. Yep,
yes, and somebody who doesn't necessarily know whoever else is involved in your
yep.
story.
No stake in the game. I don't
Yes,
got no stake in the game.
and I think, just because of history, a lot of people, I guess when I was growing up, it was, oh, you crazy.
Yeah,
And it doesn't necessarily mean you crazy. Sometimes you
right.
just need an outlet. Sometimes you just need somebody to listen and
Yeah,
then ask you some powerful questions, right? Because
yeah.
that's how that happens. And then give you different ways of looking at a
Got
scenario.
different perspective. Yep.
Yes. And so,
And people don't understand how they just need to make space and room for their emotions. Like
mm,
if you didn't grow up in a household where expressing your emotions was a big thing, like we got all these adults because they were told, stop crying before I give you something to cry for. I think you gave me something to cry for. Like, let me cry because that's an appropriate response to what you did, right? Or allowing kids to say how they feel in respectful ways,
right,
but
right.
learning how to say I'm upset or I'm angry and this is the reason why. We have adults that don't know how to use their words because think
Mm,
about it. In our communities growing up, they would say children are seen and not heard, right? So
hmm.
when did they come back and say we can be seen and we can be
They
heard,
didn't.
right? They
They
didn't.
didn't.
And
Because
then
we
we
still
kept
believe
trying to
that.
be not seen and not heard, and we in these relationships where we can't talk because we have exercised that we don't know the importance of our voice, right? I mean, I have adults that are learning how to access their power through their voice, and that's so powerful. And that's
Hmm.
why I say to people that therapy really is an empowering process if
Hmm.
you are connected to the right therapist, because the therapeutic alliance is very important. You picking out somebody that you can work with, and just because you have to go and meet different ones, I have colleagues that say they get offended because people want to do consults, and then they say I've gone with another therapist, and I'm not offended at all because I know I'm not for everybody, but I know that the people that I'm for, we're gonna work things through, and we're gonna partner, and we're gonna help you get to a place where you feel empowered and you feel like you can work through these things that you need to work through in your life in a way that you feel stronger mentally and emotionally.
Well, I find it, this is purely anecdotal, but I find it interesting that for some reason, when somebody's name start with doctor, we don't necessarily, as clients or patients, we don't necessarily do our due diligence in finding somebody we can connect with.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of doctor it is, right?
Right. That's
Um,
right.
and so I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because we haven't been taught that, or we feel like,
We've been taught to take whatever people's authority is as what it is
Mhm.
versus I need to do some research on you. Because let me tell you something, the other culture they do. Like
Right.
when other cultures come and sit in my office, they let me know I researched you. I see you are author. I see you've done this, and I see you. They research you,
Mhm.
and as they should.
Right.
And so we just got to be comfortable, and not just for a therapist, for your prime. You should be interviewing your primary care doctor, because those are the people that you hire. You hire those people. You are telling your insurance company it's okay to pay them, right?
Mhm.
And it's based on you agreeing to go and see them. And so you got to do your due diligence. And when you meet people and you don't feel comfortable, they saying things to you, they not listening to you, talk about what's wrong with you. Because a lot of times people will talk at you, or they try to
Mhm.
tell you stuff wrong with you, but they haven't really heard what you said. When you feel like people are not listening to you, you need
Mhm.
to run in the other direction. I don't care who it is. I don't care what names they got, what letters
Right.
they got behind or in front of their name. If they are not listening, you need to run in the opposite direction for
Let,
your life.
let me tell you a quick story. So I had a primary care doctor that I went to for years, and
Mm.
over time, her practice grew. And so it got to a point where every time I went in there, I was meeting with a new doctor. And I was thoroughly irritated because I'm like, I've been coming here too long. I don't want to have to keep repeating when the last time I had my cycle. It's been 15 years. Don't ask me that
And
no.
you shouldn't even ask me no more.
You know what I'm saying? Don't ask
That's
me that
trauma
no more.
informed care. Why you still asking me that question when you know that means that that person hasn't taken the time to get to know you
And
and
they
they
haven't
don't
looked at
really
the record.
care.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I
You
stopped
don't
going
care.
there. So I
Yeah.
found a new doctor.
Yeah.
First time I go in there, they take me in this room, and there's a lady sitting at the desk, and she's facing the computer, but I'm to her side. She never once looked up, never spoke, never introduced herself,
Yeah.
nothing. So I said, okay, maybe she having a bad day. I'm gonna give her a slide. I went in there the second time,
She
and
did the same thing.
not and she spoke, and then I told her, I said, before we go any further, let me just tell you something. And I told her what my experience was the first time I came. And then she was sort of kind of defensive, but not in an aggressive way.
Okay.
So I thought to myself, this ain't gonna work out,
This not gonna work.
because I'm like,
Yeah.
we gotta have a relationship. And
Yeah.
so now my primary care that I go to, I never feel rushed. I never have to wait. She's always in tune. She know what I'm doing, what I'm on, all of this stuff, right? We don't have to keep starting from the beginning.
Right. And you shouldn't. You
So
shouldn't.
I'm just like, I'm just not gonna be the one that's just going to any doctor, because if
Yeah.
you don't take an interest in me, then that means you don't want me to be your patient. I don't want to be just
Absolutely.
a number.
And you probably not going to get the best care with that person
Absolutely.
because they not taking your care, who you are as a person. They not taking that into consideration.
Yes. So Dr. Paulette Johnson said, so many doctors need therapy too. And that's
Absolutely. I have a therapist. I have a therapist. They train us to have to get therapy because people think that because we are therapists, we help people with their lives. We don't have things going on in our life
right.
that causes us to need therapy too. And this is the thing. How do you preach one thing? How do you get people to subscribe to something that you haven't
Done
subscribed to?
yourself.
Yeah. So I
Absolutely.
agree with that statement.
Yeah, I
Yes.
believe that too. And it just reminds me of this phrase, because at one point in my life, I was doing life coaching, and even a coach need a coach, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
so,
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely,
and so,
absolutely.
yes, thank you for that, Dr. Paulette. Dr. Paulette also says, Sherelle, you are always self aware. I admire that in you. Thank you, Dr. Paulette. Um, I try to be, right?
But
Because,
that's a thing that we all should aspire to be, self-aware, because when you are aware of yourself, it helps you in so many different contexts. A lot of people struggle with things because they are not self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
So being self-aware is really good.
Yes, absolutely. And with that being said, it is 7:24. Time has gone by really quick.
Yes, they say time flies when you're having fun.
Yes. So, Dr. Taps, here's what I want you to leave our audience with. How
Okay.
can they get in touch with you if they
Okay.
live in the state of Maryland and need a therapist and they
Yeah.
like to check
So
you out?
yeah. So we have a website. Our website is www.lifematterswellness.com. Again, that's www.lifematterswellness.com. And then our telephone number is 410-650-9919. Again, that's 410-650-9919.
And I'm going to ask one last question just because I have 5 minutes left and my what the hell segment ain't going to take me 5 minutes. Um,
Okay.
give me a brief response to this. How do you connect wellness with self care?
Easy, yes. Wellness depends on you doing self-care. Yeah, the things that you do as it relates to your self-care will speak to the wellness or lack thereof or of wellness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think self care is like the latest hottest phrase that people are using.
It's a buzzword, yes.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going with that.
Yes, buzzword. That I don't think that they necessarily know the meaning of it. They just throwing it around. Yeah.
Yes, and I think people relate services to self care. Like for example, going to the hair salon, going to get manicures and pedicures. They relate that to self care. That's
And
not how
it can be, but
it can be a part
it's
of it,
not to the it's a part of it. Exactly. It's a
but you're not
part of it.
tapping into your brain. You
Exactly.
you're not doing no self check in. You're not really
Yes.
getting in tune to where you are and how you're feeling. To
Yep.
me, that's more self care.
That's yep, yep. You talked about it like you being able to create boundaries as it relates to your time. You not overcommitting, that self-care. You being able to sit still and quietness is self-care. You being able to accept and rest
Mm,
is self-care, which a lot of people can't do those things, but they'll run and get their nails done and they'll run and get their hair done. That's a small part of it.
right.
Really, the bigger part of it is how do you really care for yourself in a way to meet the needs of you. Some people don't even know what they need
They
as
don't.
it relates to self-care. So
That's
it's all
exactly.
about trying to assess who you are. Look, we're gonna go back to that word, self-awareness.
Yes, yes. And with that, I'm going to say thank you so very much. I enjoyed this conversation. I am going to continue to have this conversation on this podcast because, as people, we need to really check in with ourselves and then
Absolutely.
need to make the decision to check in with other people. May that be a therapist or somebody who you respect and know that the feedback that they're going to give you is given to you in love and
Absolutely.
respect and care. And so, thank
Thank
you.
you for having me. I enjoyed the conversation with you. I appreciate
All
it.
right, good. So sit tight. I'm gonna take you off the screen. I'm gonna jump into my what the hell segment, and then we're gonna
Okay.
end this podcast.
Okay.
So, what the hell? What the hell are we doing with ourselves, y'all? Are we checking in with ourselves? Are we allowing others to give us that feedback to let us know how we're doing? I'm not just talking about anybody giving us the feedback. I'm talking about people who respect us, who love us, who only have our best interests at heart. Are we doing that? Are we soliciting the people who love us? Are we soliciting their feedback? Do we have people in our circle that we can go and download what we're feeling and what we may be going through with? Do we have those people in our circle? Do we have those same people in our circle that we know that if we download with them, that download is then not going to be re-downloaded to somebody who you did not share that information with? Are we asking ourselves, what the hell am I going through? And why am I going through it? And what's the lesson? I like to figure out what the lesson is, because when I go through things, I don't want to go through it again because I didn't learn the lesson. So I always want to know, what's the lesson? Because I often find myself saying, what the hell? Like, why are people doing what they're doing? Why are decisions being made that's being made? What the hell? And I often ask not only my adult children, but I often ask my spouse and any of my adult children's friends and my friends and people in my circle, my sisters, I always ask, what did you learn? And so, with that being said, ask yourself right now, what the hell am I doing to take care of me without anybody else benefiting from that? What am I doing to take care of me? And if your answer is that I'm only doing things to take care of me so that I can take care of others, you need to still continue to ask yourself, what the hell am I doing? With that, I want to say thank you for for joining me for Let's Get Into It. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I have another exciting episode coming up. And again, have a great night and enjoy your life. And don't continue to ask yourself, what the hell? Thank you for joining and participating in Let's Get Into It. I want to thank my special guest for being brave enough to get into it. Without you, these conversations cannot happen. Remember, different viewpoints, respect, and love are the foundations of Let's Get Into It. If there's a topic you think I should discuss, drop me a recommendation. If you're interested in being my special guest, let me know, because we can and will get into it. Have a great day on purpose, and I look forward to your continued engagement and support as we get into it.